Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be reading Dork, Diaries, Tales from a Not-So-Talented Pop Star, Book 3 in the series. If you go to enjoy, make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. This is part 2 of 3, which will be November 11th to November 20th. So we'll be reading pages, I believe, 99 until, I think, 180 something. Let me check. Yes, 99 to 187, so we'll be reading 88 pages, less than part 1. So yeah, if you go to enjoy, subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. And without any further ado, let's get into the video. Enjoy, guys. Monday, November 11th. Every day during study hall, Chloe, Zoe, and I are excused to go work as library shelving assistants, or LSAs. We love our job. Me, Chloe, and Zoe working really hard putting away library books. Well, sort of. After we finally got all the books reshelved, Zoe suggested that we decide what we were going to do for our talent show act. That's when Chloe suddenly started doing what looked like the funky chicken. Chloe. Which meant she had just gotten a really great idea for the talent show. OMG, OMG, I just got the most fabulous idea. We can do a wicked cool dance routine about books. We'll call ourselves the Breakdancing Bookworms. Chloe gushed. I love it, Zoe squealed. We can make fuzzy lime green costumes that look like caterpillars. And we can rap, too. What do you think, Nikki? I was like, actually, Chloe and Zoe, it sounds like a really fun idea. But is it supposed to be a talent show or a freak show? But I just said that inside my head so no one else heard it but me. Chloe and Zoe are the best friends ever. But they're also the second and third biggest dorks in the entire school. So sometimes their ideas are a little, how should I say it, dorky, too. Chloe and Zoe's wacky idea number 1397, breakdancing bookworms. But their occasionally weird antics are the reason they are so much fun to hang out with. I took a deep breath and tried my best to break it to them gently. Actually, I think it's a really cute idea, but I have a bit of bad news. As much as I was looking forward to it, I've decided not to participate in the talent show this year. I'm trying to spend more time on schoolwork and stuff. Nikki, it's not going to be fun unless all three of us do this together, Chloe groaned as her smile quickly faded. Zoe looked disappointed too. Well, if you're not going to be in the talent show, then I don't want to be in it. Me neither, Chloe said grimly. Come on, guys, you can be breakdancing bookworms together. It'll still be fun, I said, trying to sound upbeat, but I couldn't get them to change their minds. The three of us just sat there, not saying anything for what seemed like forever. To make matters worse, I was starting to feel guilty about letting them down. Finally, Zoe broke the silence. Nikki, are you mad at us or something? What are you talking about? Of course not, I answered. If anything, you two should be mad at me. You've been kind of quiet lately. Is anything wrong? Chloe asked, staring at me intently. For a split second, I thought about just pouring my heart out to them both. About Mackenzie, Queasy Cheesy, the talent show, my dad, my scholarship, everything. But instead, I shook my head vigorously and tried to muster a big smile. No, nothing's wrong. I just feel terrible that you guys have decided not to be in the talent show. I know you were really looking forward to it. Chloe shrugged and looked out the window. Zoe bit her lip and stared at the floor. I reminded myself I was doing all this for their own good. The last thing I wanted was for them to be a casualty in Mackenzie's war against me. Finally, a bell rang, ending fifth hour. Chloe and Zoe looked sad and flustered. I think they knew I was hiding something, and I felt just awful. I sighed and tried to apologize. Listen, I'm really, really sorry, okay? As Chloe and Zoe got up to leave, they both sadly muttered the exact same thing at the exact same time. Whatever. Then they turned and walked away. Tuesday, November 12th. I think I finally figured out the source of the bug problem at our school. I'm no expert, unlike my dad, but it was kind of strange to see so many different bugs just randomly crawling around like that. But here's the crazy part. I accidentally left my French homework in my locker, and my teacher let me leave class to go get it. While I was at my locker, the halls were empty and totally quiet. I could have sworn I heard crickets chirping, and the sound was coming from Mackenzie's locker. I was like, what the? I stood on my tippy toes and tried to peek through the slot thingy at the top of Mackenzie's locker. I thought I saw the silver lid of a jar or something, but her big leather purse was in the way. That's when I got the brilliant idea to stick my ruler through the slot thingy and move stuff around and get a better look inside. After a few tries, I was able to push Mackenzie's purse out of the way, and sure enough, right behind it was a glass jar, but I couldn't quite see if anything was inside it. Using the ruler, I tried to scoot the jar toward the front so I could get a closer look, but I somehow accidentally knocked it over, and it hit the locker door with a clunk and rolled on top of the purse. That's when I noticed that the lid must not have been on very tight or something, because it flipped right off. I was like, oopsie, time to get back to class, but the longer I stood there thinking about it, the angrier I got, mainly because it looked to me like Mackenzie had been secretly planting bugs all over the school. She knew that sooner or later the school was going to call my dad to exterminate the place, and when it did, I was going to have a complete meltdown. There was no way I was letting my dad come to my school. I mean, what if he saw me in the hallway between classes? He might say something super embarrassing to me like, "Hi there, Nikki." Then, OMG, I just kneel over and die. Then, OMG, I just keel over and die. And from that day forward, I'd be known as the daughter of that crazy disco dancing exterminator. Kids would whisper stuff about me behind my back and call me a freak. And not just a regular freak, but a half bug, half dork freak, which is like 10 times worse. Bzzz. Ew, OMG, me. What the? Me, the half bug, half dork freak. My life would be totally ruined, and it would all be Mackenzie's fault. Unlike that talent show fiasco that involved my BFFs, this problem was just between me and Mackenzie, which meant I could deal with her on my own terms. I marched straight down to Principal Winston's office to have a nice little chat with him about this bug issue. Only I didn't rat out Mackenzie. Yes, I know, I probably should have, but I already knew from experience she was just going to bat her eyelashes all innocent-like and lie through her teeth. And Winston would totally believe her and not me, because all adults think Mackenzie is a perfect little angel and incapable of lying. Besides, I was going to talk to Winston about something way more important than Mackenzie's juvenile little pranks. Our meeting went just as I had planned. He told me he was happy I'd stopped by his office and asked how things were going as a new student. I took a deep breath and got right to the point. Actually, Principal Winston, I'm doing fine considering the fact that I'm stuck with the locker right next to Mackenzie Hollister, and I'm totally lost in geometry, but I stopped by to let you know that since my dad is super busy right now, you should just call in another exterminator. I'm really sure he appreciates your business and all, but there's only so much work he can handle. Principal Winston blinked, then he took off his glasses, folded his arms across his chest, and slowly nodded. Is that so? I was wondering why your dad missed our appointment on Friday. I thought maybe he didn't get the message I left on your answering machine. Well, it's quite a coincidence that you dropped by, Miss Maxwell, because I was planning to give him another call this afternoon. Well, if you want some advice, don't bother. He's so busy he hasn't even slept in 3 or 5 days. Plus, it would be healthier for his, sick gallbladder and stuff if you just got someone else. Principal Winston sat there staring at me with this really perplexed look on his face. Then I saw him glance at the telephone on his desk. That's when I stood up, plastered a fake smile on my face, and shook his hand real friendly like. Well, Principal Winston, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you're a busy man. Plus, I just heard the bell for lunch, and I love all the creative things your cooks do with mystery meat. I'm really, really glad we had this little chat. Thank you, Miss Maxwell. I'm glad we did too, he said and cleared his throat. Then I got the heck out of there. As I headed down the hall toward the cafeteria, I felt a huge burden had been lifted off my shoulders. Winston was going to use another exterminator, and my secret will be safe again. Problem solved. As I got to the door of the cafeteria, a dozen CCP girls rushed past me screaming. Inside, it was total chaos. I immediately spotted Mackenzie standing on top of a lunch table, shrieking hysterically and pointing at something lying on the floor. Eek! My gut reaction was mouse, snake, but seeing as it was Mackenzie, it also could have been something as mundanely horrifying as a pair of red polyester pants. I have to admit I wasn't all that surprised to see Mackenzie's big leather purse. That's when I finally came to the conclusion that my earlier hunch was correct. I guess there really were crickets in that jar. Wednesday, November 13th. The only thing everyone is talking about these days is that stupid talent show, and it's really starting to get on my nerves. People are practicing before school, after school, and even during lunch. I'll be so happy when all this is over. I'd been waiting for Mackenzie to ask Chloe and Zoe to join her dance squad, so I wasn't surprised when she approached them about it after gym class today. However, I was shocked when Chloe and Zoe turned her down. They actually told her they didn't want to be in the talent show unless I was in it too. I couldn't believe my BFFs had basically told Mackenzie to take her little dance group and flush it. Mackenzie just stared at them with her mouth hanging open because she suddenly realized her plan to keep me out of the talent show had backfired. She must have seen the smirk on my face because she gave me this really dirty look, and I was like, what? And batted my eyes all innocent-like. I cannot believe the disgusting, low-down, dirty thing Mackenzie did next. Okay, Chloe and Zoe, I'll be honest with you. Jason and Ryan have been begging me to ask you to join. They're dying to be your dance partners. I promised I wouldn't tell, but those guys have really big crushes on you two. She gushed and then winked. There was no doubt in my mind that Mackenzie was lying like a rug. She was only pretending to be Miss Matchmaker to trick Chloe and Zoe into joining. But they believed every word she said and totally lost it. They started jumping up and down and squealing. I didn't have the heart to tell them. I didn't have the heart to tell them Mackenzie was a pathological liar, as Jason and Ryan were probably in on her little scheme. I shot Mackenzie a dirty look, and this time she batted her eyes at me, all innocent-like, and said, "What?" I was so mad I could spit. I wanted to slap that girl into tomorrow for playing with my friend's emotions like that. Those two guys had taken cheerleaders to the Halloween dance 2 weeks ago and practically broken Chloe's and Zoe's hearts. And now they were all going to be dance partners. I couldn't believe Mackenzie was such a little manipulative. And now they were all going to be dance partners. I couldn't believe Mackenzie was such a little And now they were all going to be dance partners. I couldn't believe Mackenzie was such a little manipulative. Sorry, I can't pronounce the word. And now they were all going to be dance partners. I couldn't believe Mackenzie was such a little manipulative, beady-eyed snake. What really worried me, though, was the fact that neither Chloe nor Zoe had fully recovered from their totally debilitating case of crush-itis. Dr. Nikki shares some good news. Chloe, me, Zoe. Well, girls, from your test results, it appears your severe case of crush-itis can be cured with medication. Dr. Nikki shares some not-so-good news. No, OMG! Unfortunately, you won't be able to sit down for a week. Now roll over, close your eyes, and count to 10. Mackenzie was recklessly exposing Chloe and Zoe to yet another dangerous case of crush-itis, merely for selfish gain. That girl is heartless. So now they start dance practice tomorrow. I probably won't be seeing much of my BFFs over the next 2 weeks because they'll be hanging out with Mackenzie and the CCPs. But it's not like I'm jealous or anything. I mean, how juvenile would that be? Thursday, November 14th. OMG, I can't believe the horrible mess I've made. I had no idea things were going to turn out like this. What am I going to do now? I think I'm going to be sick. Which is the reason I asked my geometry teacher, Mrs. Sprague, if I could be excused to go to the bathroom. Me in the bathroom feeling very worried and sick. Okay, this is what happened. When I got home from school yesterday, I stopped to get the mail. I saw an envelope from WCD that was addressed to both me and my parents and figured it was my report card or something. However, when I opened it, I had a heart attack right there on the spot because it was a tuition bill. How did I know? Mainly because it said in really big letters, Nikki Maxwell tuition bill. And below that was a dollar amount so big I almost thought my eyeballs were going to rupture just looking at it. I could try to pay it off with my teeny allowance, but that would take 1,829.7 years. Nikki Maxwell tuition bill. Me trying to read my tuition bill with my almost ruptured eyeballs. At first I thought it was some kind of mistake, but the only logical explanation is that I had messed up big time by not giving my dad that phone message from Principal Winston. Then I had very stupidly gone to Winston's office and told him my dad was too busy to come in, and now my scholarship has been removed. And now my scholarship has been revoked. What was I thinking? There's just no way my parents can afford to pay that tuition bill. Suddenly it became very clear that Mackenzie had completely set me up. Her master plan wasn't to embarrass me by having my dad come to the school to exterminate all the bugs she was letting loose. Nuh-uh. Her little brain was way more devious than that. Her plan was for my dad not to come to the school to exterminate all the bugs she was letting loose. So I'd lose my scholarship and get kicked out of school. She knew I'd be frantic and do everything with my power to keep him away. Basically, she tricked me into ruining my own life. Mackenzie Hollister is an evil genius. I had no scholarship and I had no money to pay the tuition. My situation was hopeless. As I sat there on that cold bathroom floor, a thick cloud of anguish seemed to descend upon my stall, like some kind of putrid smog, making it nearly impossible for me to breathe or think clearly. Overcome by gut-wrenching emotion and overwhelmed by that awful school bathroom smell, I began to ponder the unthinkable. I began to ponder the unthinkable. I wanted all my problems to go away, so I decided to just end it all right there by flushing myself down the toilet. But unfortunately, I was way too big to fit down that little drain hole thingy. That's when I noticed a bright yellow talent show poster taped on the stall door. Flushing myself down the toilet. I'd seen them plastered around school for days, but after all the drama with Mackenzie, I never bothered to actually read one. Do you sing, dance, or have some other entertaining talent that you'd like to share with the world? If so, then come perform in our 10th annual WCD Talent Showcase, Saturday, November 30th, 7:30 p.m., to be judged by Trevor Chase, world-famous music producer and WCD alumnus. Prizes include televised audition on 15 Minutes of Fame, scholarships to WCD, laptop, computer, iPads, and much more. Participation form must be completed and turned in by Friday, November 22nd. Non-compliance with rules will result in disqualification. See official for detail. See office for details. I had to read that poster like 3 times before it finally sank in. WCD was actually giving away full scholarships. I know I swore off a talent show earlier, but now things have changed. I'm desperate. How desperate am I? Really, 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 really desperate. Friday, November 15th. Just when I thought my life couldn't get any worse, it did. I skipped lunch today because I wanted to talk to Brandon. I really felt the need to vent to someone about all the stuff that was going wrong in my life right now. Like, for example, everything. Confiding in Chloe and Zoe was not an option since they were busy rehearsing with Jason and Ryan during lunch. I still considered Brandon a good friend, even though he's been so busy that we've barely spoken to each other since the dance 2 weeks ago. It always seemed like talking to him helped me think things through more logically. But most important, I wanted to tell him about my dad, my revoked scholarship, and that I might be leaving WCD very soon. I'm just really tired of pretending everything is fine when it isn't. And I know at some point Mackenzie is going to blab on my business to the entire school anyway. Hey world, my dad is a bug exterminator, and I attend WCD on a scholarship. Big deal. It's who I really am. Why should I be ashamed? Why should I be ashamed of it? Even if Mackenzie has a problem with it, I don't have to. Anyway, I rushed down to the newspaper office since that's where Brandon has been hanging out lately, training some new photographer. Well, it looks like he's been pretty busy, all right. With Mackenzie, I've always wondered if Brandon really likes me or not. Well, now I know. He doesn't. I think he's just been using me all along to make Mackenzie jealous or something. I couldn't stand to watch her gushing all over him like a lovesick puppy. Oh, Brandon, this and... Oh, Brandon, this and... Oh, Brandon, that. OMG, she sounded so ditzy I thought her brains were going to ooze out of her ears like syrup and make a puddle right on the floor. She's more crazy about him than ever. And since when has Mackenzie been into photography? Probably since landing Brandon as her new tutor. And get this, she doesn't even read our school newspaper because she says it doesn't have a fashion and style section. And the fashion and style section is the only thing she says is worth reading in any newspaper. The girl is desperate. Anyway, I just turned around and walked right out of the room before they even saw me. If Brandon wants Mackenzie, he can have her. Journalism room 26. Saturday, November 16th. My life is so messed up. All day I've been feeling super depressed and guilty. I finally made the decision to come clean to my parents and tell them everything. So what if I get grounded until my 21st birthday? I was like, Mom and Dad, can I talk to you guys? It's really important. Mom was like, sure, honey, but can I wait a little bit? It's such a beautiful, clear night outside that your dad and I decided we'd all have a little family sharing time. I was like, oh, crud, it was really bad timing for family sharing time. Then Dad just about knocked me over, rushing out of the back door with a big can of lighter fluid and a box of matches. Is it me, or do most fathers seem to have talent? Is it me, or do most fathers seem to have latent pyromaniac tendencies? They get really happy and excited whenever they grill food, light the fireplace, make a campfire, burn leaves, or do anything that involves fire. Dad, when someone else is in charge of lighting the fire. Dad, when someone else is in charge of lighting the fire. Happy birthday. Dad, when he is in charge of lighting the fire. Looky, mine. What's up with that? Well, tonight Dad decided to build a campfire in the backyard so we could roast marshmallows. And Mom brought out a big plate of Hershey bars and a box of graham crackers so we could make yummy s'mores. I have to admit, I was actually looking forward to snarfing down that hot, gooey, and chocolate treat. It sounds like a fun, family-friendly activity, right? It was, until Dad got a little carried away and burned his marshmallows to a crisp. When they caught on fire, he totally panicked. It looked like he was holding one of those flaming shish kebab thingies you see in fancy restaurants. He was frantically whipping the stick around in circles trying to put out the fire. The next thing we knew, those marshmallows were flying right off the end of his stick and practically going into orbit. OMG, Dad's marshmallows lit up the night sky like a meteor shower or something. Actually, it looked kind of cool. My family roasting marshmallows. But somehow, in all the commotion, One of the flaming marshmallows landed on the front of his pant leg and stuck there. Of course, Brianna totally lost it and started screaming her head off. Thinking fast, Mom grabbed the bucket of water Dad had placed nearby and quickly doused the front of his pants, just as it caught on fire. Thank goodness he wasn't hurt or anything. But then our very nosy neighbor lady, Mrs. Wallabanger, came running outside to see what was going on. Dad tried his best to explain to her that while he was out in the backyard roasting marshmallows, he had an unfortunate little accident. Mrs. Wallabanger just stared at him with this really disgusted look on her face. She gave Dad a lecture about how he should be ashamed of himself and actually threatened to call the police. Then she stormed back into her house and slammed her door. But we could see her peeking out at us through her curtains. We were all super confused about why Mrs. Wallabanger was behaving so strangely. Until I took a closer look at Dad and realized it actually looked like he had wet his pants. Which also pretty much explained why Mrs. Wallabanger had totally freaked when Dad told her he had an uncomfortable little accident. Which also pretty much explained why Mrs. Wallabanger had totally freaked when Dad told her he had an unfortunate little accident in the backyard. We finally decided to call it a night, and Dad put out our campfire by shoveling dirt on it. Since Dad's pants were wet, dirty, marshmallow covered, and slightly charred from the night's activities, Mom insisted that he take them off in the garage and throw them in the trash so he wouldn't make a mess in the house. Then she rushed upstairs to get him a clean pair to put on. Well, Mrs. Wallabanger must have still been pretty upset because when Mom got back to the garage to give Dad his pants, we heard this loud commotion out in our driveway. From what I could tell, Dad was having a really heated argument with someone. It sounded like a lady was trying to convince him she was there to help him, but Dad kept insisting in a really loud voice that he didn't want or need any of her help. That's when a lady said, "Actually, sir, I think you need to let me help you find your pants." Dad. OMG, I was shocked to see that police officer, but I had to admit she had a really good point about the pants issue. Then Dad got an attitude about the whole thing and told the police lady that he didn't appreciate her making a joke at his expense. But the police lady told Dad that he needed to calm down and have a seat in the back of her squad car so they could go for a little ride down to the station. I thought for sure Dad was going to get arrested or something. Thank goodness Mom rushed outside and explained everything about that flaming marshmallow, the bucket of water, and Dad's no pants situation. And after the nice officer lady was convinced Dad wasn't wandering around the neighborhood peeping in neighbors' windows, she apologized to him and left. In spite of the fact that the evening was a total disaster, Mom still insisted that we take a picture to put in her family sharing time scrapbook. So we all posed in the kitchen holding a graham cracker with fake smiles plastered on our faces, just to make her happy. Our family marshmallow roast, during which Dad's pants caught fire and he nearly got arrested. This was the worst family sharing time ever. Since we were all pretty traumatized from the marshmallow roast and Dad was still furious at that cop, I decided it was a very bad time to bring up the whole tuition bill issue. Maybe I'll tell them tomorrow, or I could always run away and join the circus. Ladies and gentlemen, who turned off the lights? Chomp. Sunday, November 17th. I was awake most of the night, tossing and turning and trying to figure out what to do. Sunday, November 17th. I was awake most of the night, tossing and turning and trying to figure out what to do about all my problems. When I first started at WCD, I never thought in a million years I'd ever actually want to stay at this school. But over the last couple months, I guess the place has just sort of grown on me or something. Chloe, Zoe, and I have been really good friends. I actually won the avant-garde art competition, and then Brandon asked me to the Halloween dance. Although thanks to Mackenzie, things aren't as good as they once were. All I really need to do is figure out how to fix it all. At this point, I basically have two choices. 1, just give up and transfer to a new school, which means I'll also have to go through the torture of being the new kid all over again. OMG, look at her clothes, loser. 2, rob a bank and pay my tuition with the cash, which unfortunately could be the first step in my new life as a ruthless felon. Me as a ruthless criminal. Instead of spending 4 years in high school and 4 years at a major university, I'll spend 8 years in prison for robbery. And when I get married and have a baby, my poor daughter will take after me and become a juvenile delinquent when she's still in diapers. My baby's first birthday, felony. 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce, 4 ounce, 5 ounce, 6 ounce. And then while I'm rotting in prison and having super fun Manny petty cell block parties with those celebs, I'll realize what a horrible mess I've made of my life and totally regret that I didn't give my dad that telephone message from Principal Winston. Anyway, the only choice I really have is to try to get a scholarship by winning that talent show. Unfortunately, I'm just an okay singer, but if I was in a band with super talented musicians, I might have a chance. So on Monday, I'm going to put up posters around the school and then hold auditions for a band. If I'm lucky, maybe there are a few really talented kids who haven't signed up for the show yet. Actually, both of us want to be in your band. Seeking talent. Monday, November 18th. I arrived at school an hour early today to put up audition posters for my band. I also got permission from the office to use the band room after school tomorrow. I know this is last minute, but all I really need is for 3 or 4 people to show up. Although it was still fairly early in the morning, at least a half a dozen groups were already practicing in various locations throughout the school. The CCPs in the cafeteria were blasting their music so loudly I could barely hear myself think. I peeked in and saw Chloe and Zoe dancing and flirting with Jason and Ryan. My BFFs looked so happy. There was no doubt in my mind that they'd enjoy dancing with Jason and Ryan more than being in my ragtag band. I plan to tell them in the library today that I changed my mind about being in the talent show. I was sure they'd understand. Me hanging up my audition posters. Love to rock. Our 19th room. As soon as I got done with my posters, I rushed to class early to try to finish up some homework that I hadn't been able to complete over the weekend. I can't believe how much homework they give you in middle school. There's just no way you can get all of it done. The last thing I needed was an incomplete, so I decided to come up with a really good excuse so my teacher would give me extra time to finish my assignment. For some reason, the teachers tend to believe stories that are really super creative, no matter how crazy or far-fetched. That's when I came up with the brilliant idea for a handy-dandy manual called The Student Handbook of Homework Excuses for Lazy Dummies. I don't think there's anything like this on the market, so I decided to write down all the best excuses I've used over the years and place them in a simple form. Me hanging up my audition posters. So I decided to write down all the best excuses I've used over the years and place them in a simple form. And once I've collected enough of them, I plan to publish them as a book that could possibly become an overnight bestseller for students around the world. From your name. Ari. Issue with my school assignment. Dear, name of teacher. You probably won't believe this, but my spoiled sister, my bratty brother, my paranoid uncle, my senile neighbor lady has a pet. Snake named Hubert, monkey named Rocky, vampire bat named Jean Claude, unicorn named Buttercup. That unfortunately got really frightened, angry, confused, sick, and unexpectedly projectile vomited on, had babies on, had a heart attack and died on, had a really bad nosebleed on, my math problems, assignment, project, report, homework, fill in the blank. When I realized I would not be turning this into you on time, I became gravely depressed and suffered uncontrollable sobbing, flatulence, hiccups, laughter. I am truly very sorry for any inconvenience this may have caused. I assure you it will not happen again, ever, until my next homework assignment is due, until the cow jumps over the moon, until the next exciting episode of America's Next Top Model. And if you believe this, I'd like to sell you some swamp land in Florida. Sincerely, your signature. Hey, maybe I can use the money from this book to pay my tuition. So today in biology, Brandon was staring at me. It wasn't like I was staring at him the entire hour or anything. I'm just very observant and happened to notice it. I almost fell out of my chair when he leaned over and whispered, "Are you okay, Nikki? You look kind of down today." But since talking to him would make me feel even more heartbroken than I already was, I just nodded and kept right on working on our human brain assignment. Until, unlike Mackenzie, that girl would not shut up the entire hour. OMG. She babbled nonstop to Brandon about her new lip gloss flavors and Max Maniacs, all while making goo-goo eyes at him. While observing Mackenzie's behavior, I prepared a lab report supporting my new hypothesis on intelligence and nutrition. It is actually humanly possible to have the IQ of a toaster pastry and still function in society. Mackenzie equals toaster pastry. Anyway, after class was over, Brandon didn't try to talk to me again or anything. He just looked at me, shrugged, and walked away with this perplexed look on his face. It's almost like he has no idea whatsoever why I'm acting the way I am, which is ironic because he is the reason I'm a total psycho. How can he not know how I feel? But what if he doesn't? What if he thinks I'm just being mean for no reason? When I actually like him a lot. I think, why am I so confused? Tuesday, November 19th. Today was the big day, auditions. Although I felt super excited, deep down I was really worried. If I don't win the talent competition and snag a scholarship, I won't have any choice but to transfer to a new school. Just thinking about it makes me break out in a cold sweat. And as if I wasn't already stressed out enough, Mackenzie kept staring at me and giving me the evil eye the entire time I was at my locker. I was like, "Hey girlfriend, you're creeping me out. Just take a picture, why don't ya?" But I just said that inside my head so no one else heard it but me. All my classes bored me out at my school, and the days seemed to drag on and on and on. When school was finally over, I hurried toward the band room to get ready for the auditions. As I passed the cafeteria, I couldn't help but notice Mackenzie and a few of her CCP dancers crowded around one of my audition flyers. Of course, when she saw me, she started whispering about me and giggling like an evil little witch. Love to rock? Auditions. Me. She had a ton of nerve to be talking about me right to my face like that. However, since I had somewhere to be, I just ignored her and rushed right past. I got to the band room about 10 minutes early and was relieved to see a dozen or so kids warming up on their instruments. I started to feel a lot better, but mostly I was hopeful that maybe my crazy plan was actually going to work. I could tell they were pretty good musicians just by listening to them. At 3:45 sharp, I decided to get the show on the road. Okay, I'm ready to get started now. If you guys are, I said cheerfully. Here's the sign-up sheet. This kind of cute guy who was drumming on the seat of a chair looked up at me and smiled. So you're the one who's using the band room today. We'll be out of your hair in a minute. As soon as our tuba player shows up, we'll be moving to the choir room to practice with the glee club. Out of my hair? Now I was totally confused. I was pretty sure I must have heard him wrong. Excuse me, aren't you guys here for the talent show? Yeah, we're the jazz band, and we're doing a few numbers with the glee club. I just stared at him with my mouth dangling open. Okay, I just thought that, you all were here for my voice showed off. A guy rushed in and grabbed the tuba. Then everyone filed out of the room. My heart sank. I groaned and collapsed into a chair. Other than me, the room was now totally empty. I glanced at the clock. It was 3:55. Don't panic. I thought maybe everyone was just late or something. I looked back at the clock and wondered if it had stopped working. It was moving so slowly. 3:58. 4:03, and still no one arrived. 4:05, 4:08, 4:11. By 4:15, I sighed deeply and finally admitted the obvious. My brilliant plan was a complete and humongous flop. Not a single person had bothered to show up for my auditions. I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt so alone. I got a huge lump in my throat and tried to fight back my tears. I was such a loser. Maybe transferring to another school wasn't such a bad idea after all. It seemed very obvious that no one here actually liked me. I'd just been kidding myself to think so. My thoughts were interrupted by Violet, who stormed into the room and slammed the door. Oh, there you are. What the heck is going on? I told everyone they should have checked in here first. Some people are such idiots. You always know exactly how Violet feels about something, mainly because she'll tell you rather loudly whether you want to hear it or not. But I kind of like that about her. Well, thanks a lot for canceling your auditions at the last minute. I've been practicing that stupid song on the piano for hours. I guess fame eludes me yet again, she huffed, scowling at me. I just shrugged and tried to wipe away my tears before she noticed them. I'm really sorry. Suddenly her face softened, and she looked concerned. Hey, are you okay? Sure, just severe allergies. Actually, I'm fine. But did you just say canceling? Yeah, you did it on such short notice. What happened? What do you mean, what happened? What do you mean, what do I mean? Val looked at me like I was crazy. You canceled, right? Okay, come look at this. I followed Violet down the hall, and we stopped at the exact spot I'd seen Mackenzie and her friends almost an hour earlier. Violet pointed at my flyer. See it, that's canceled. Sure enough, scrolled across my audition flyer in black marker was the word canceled. Canceled. Love. EXO. Rock. I could not believe my eyes. I rushed farther down the hall to the flyer I had posted over the drinking fountain. It said canceled. I checked the flyer over the wall near my locker. Canceled. I went around the entire school ripping my canceled flyers off the walls. Then I threw them all in the trash. No wonder no one would bother to show up for my auditions, and I knew just who was behind it all. Mackenzie. I could feel the tears coming again. Only this time, they were tears of anger. Since it was almost time for my mom to pick me up, I decided to take a shortcut through the cafeteria to get to my locker. My mind was racing. I still had that tuition bill and no way of paying it. What was I going to do now? Tell my parents? It looked like that was the only answer. As I entered the cafeteria, I suddenly heard music and familiar laughter. I froze and gasped. Just great. I had stumbled into Mackenzie's dance rehearsal. After what that girl had done to me, she was the last person I wanted to see. I quickly slipped between two vending machines and pray no one had spotted me. And from there, I watched them practice. I had to admit Mackenzie and her group were really good, especially Chloe and Zoe. As I had predicted, they were the best dancers by far. That's when I realized my situation was hopeless. There was no way I could win against her group. As the song ended, Mackenzie smiled at her dancers like a proud mother hen. Okay, everyone, that was fabulous. Let's take a 10-minute break. Before I knew what was happening, the entire room came rushing in my direction. Talk about crappy luck. There I was, trapped in a room with a bunch of hot, thirsty dancers. And where was I hiding? With the ice-cold sodas, juices, and bottled water, of course. I was like, way to go, Nikki. My stupidity never ceases to amaze me. I turned and tried to make a dash for the door. Only I forgot about two little things. Well, actually, two very big things. The garbage cans. What the? Oops. I accidentally bumped into the first one and then tripped and fell over the second one. And yes, unfortunately for me, the garbage cans were still filled to the brim with very nasty, slimy stuff that students had either refused to eat for lunch or tossed. And it smelled really, really bad, like slightly rotting. I don't even know. I hit the floor with a thud and lay there stunned, covered from head to foot with disgusting garbage. I felt like such a klutz. I didn't know which was more painfully bruised, my butt or my ego. But the worst part was that I had an audience, namely every CCP in the entire school, and of course Mackenzie was in rare form. OMG, Nikki, what are you doing in that garbage? Scavenging for dinner? Everyone was laughing so hard they could barely breathe. Well, everyone except Chloe and Zoe. Nikki, what happened? Chloe gasped. OMG, are you okay? Zoe asked frantically. My two best friends each grabbed an arm and helped me to my feet. They were being so sweet and kind to me, it almost made me cry. Mackenzie reached into her pocket, unfolded a piece of paper, and waved in front of my face tauntingly. It was one of my audition flyers. So, how did your little audition for the talent show go? I see you chickened out and canceled it at the last minute, she said. I couldn't believe she actually said that to me. I just stood there glaring at her as I pondered which was the fouler piece of garbage, Mackenzie or the reeking banana peel that was lying down my forehead. I was about to answer when both Chloe and Zoe turned and stared at me with surprised looks on their faces. Wait a minute, you're going to be in the talent show? Chloe asked, obviously shocked. Thought you said you didn't have time because of your classes and homework load, Zoe asked. Or is it that you just didn't want to be in the talent show with us? Obviously, Mackenzie hissed and handed them my audition flyer. Looks to me like she'd rather hang out with whoever wanted to enter her auditions than you two. Chloe and Zoe looked very hurt. I tried desperately to think up something to say to my BFFs. Actually, I decided at the last minute, and Mackenzie quickly sized up the situation and went in for the kill. Well, Chloe and Zoe, now you know what kind of BFF you have. As in, best fake friend. Nikki, I obviously wanted nothing to do with you two. She doesn't deserve your friendship. If there was an Academy Award for Best Actress in a BFF breakup scene, Mackenzie would have won. OMG, I feel so sorry for you two. She sniffed and blinked away phony tears. Then she hugged them both like their puppy had just died. Chloe, Zoe, please don't believe Mackenzie. I really wanted to be in the talent show with you guys, but a lot of stuff happened. I couldn't believe how upset they were. They looked like they were going to cry. I was going to tell you about the band too. I just hadn't gotten the chance yet, I muttered. I've heard enough, Nikki. I've heard enough. Nikki is treating you like dirt. Come on, girl. Sorry, guys, that was my mom calling. Well, let's resume. I've heard enough. Nikki is treating you like dirt. Come on, girls, we have a talent show to win. Mackenzie grabbed Chloe and Zoe by their shoulders and led them away. But before Mackenzie disappeared into the girls' bathroom, she flashed me an evil grin over her shoulder and mouthed, loser. And right now I'm feeling like one, because thanks to Mackenzie, my life has been totally trashed. No pun intended. Wednesday, November 20th. I've pretty much given up all hope of being in the talent show, and I still don't have the slightest idea how I'm going to continue attending WCD. When I saw Chloe and Zoe in gym today, I really wanted to apologize and try to explain everything before Mackenzie completely brainwashed them into believing all her lies. But I never got a chance to talk to them because our gym teacher announced that we were going to be playing basketball. Then she selected the 4 captains to pick teams. Unfortunately, I'm a very crummy basketball player, and I've never made a basket in my entire life. So I wasn't the least bit surprised when I was the very last person to be picked out of the entire class. OMG, talk about humiliating. And as if being the last person wasn't bad enough, the 4 team captains got into a heated argument over who was going to get stuck with me on their team. It's no wonder I struggle with low self-esteem. I was hoping that Chloe, Zoe, and I would end up on the same team, but no such luck. Anyway, the winning teams were going to earn an A while the losing teams had to take showers. This made me super nervous because I hate showering at school. I never knew that playing basketball could be so painful. Clunk. Ow! Ow! Thud. And when I asked my gym teacher if I could wear a helmet, shoulder pads, and shin guards, she got an attitude about the whole thing and told me I just needed to hustle more and be a team player. But what I really wanted to know was, how was I supposed to spend quality time writing my diary when I was getting clobbered by that basketball every 3 seconds? Wham! Ow! By the end of the game, I was sick of that ball. So when someone passed it to me, I just whipped it right over my shoulder without looking. I wanted to get rid of it so I could write in my diary. Swish! @ symbol, hashtag, dollar symbol, percentage symbol, and symbol, swish. But get this, I made the winning basket with only 2 seconds left in the game. Then everyone came running up to congratulate me, and my teammates hoisted me up on their shoulders like I was a hero and we had just won the state championship or something. Way to go! I had never in my entire life seen people so happy about not having to take a shower. While we were in the locker room, I was hoping to try to talk to Chloe and Zoe again. But since their team had lost, they were stuck taking showers. I quickly decided it would be more prudent to have a heart-to-heart with them. At another time. Besides, I just don't know what to say right now, other than the truth, which at this point is not an option. Showers. Way to go! Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that leaves us off on Thursday, November 21st, page 188. That was part 2 of 3 of reading Dork, Diaries, Tales from a Not-So-Talented Pop Star, book 3. Part 2 of 3, guys. If you want to enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe, like, and turn on post notifications because part 3 is coming out very, very soon. In part 3, we'll be reading page 188 to the end of the book. I hope you enjoyed. And then it will be 188 to the end of the book, which is 188 to 311. And then Thursday, November 21st until November 30th. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed. Subscribe, like, and turn on post notifications. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye, guys.